Hey, Steve, Zalunardo here with Remax Treviso North Realty. This is an end of week broadcast. Usually I do these on Mondays, clearly on inventory. If you've been watching our socials the last 10 years, I want to talk about this on Friday. Why? Because we're in a market that's declining faster than anybody really thinks. And we've been ringing this bell since January. If you've been watching, I've been ringing this bell to unload. And you have some clients listening. Some family members listening, and then you got the opposite where they're oblivious to the whole structure of what the future of real estate is going to look like in the GTA in Toronto and Ontario and Canada for that matter. And I'll just run some numbers now. So as of Monday, we were at 28,500 units, which is historically highest ever in Canadian history. In my history as a realtor, and literally the last 4 days, we've just gained another 1,000 units. We're at 29,633 units, and now by Monday we will be into 30,000 units, which we promise you we'd be in May. Which I'd like to put that recording adjacent to this, and this is exactly where we're at. Just remember, you have more competition, less buyers. What does that mean? Lower pricing. Where are we going? Lower pricing. I had a conversation with some clients yesterday, potential clients rather, and I've given advice back in 22 to unload investment properties, even their primary residence, because there was going to be that dip. This was probably March of 22. We hit that dip. Everyone kind of stayed status quo. But the problem is now, if you got, especially condos are the worst product. If anybody's trying to sell you a condo, run away. It's got to be the worst product ever, unless you're an end user and that's what you need to be because you're living downtown, that's where your job employment is. That's a different story. But if you're buying it as an investment, worst thing, run away. Clearly, remember, the builders are paying high commissions on these, and you can sell these like you're selling Tic Tacs. This is why people promote condos, but the worst investment ever. Take it from me, from not even experience, because I never bought one, always watching people lose money, and always me wiping up the mess after they purchase these through an investor, and I got to sell them, and they usually don't make much money in a good market. So let's move forward here. So right now we're at 29,658 units. What I've been telling these clients as well, dump, unload, let's get going here. Just to be as cash heavy as possible going into the economy that we're going into. If you don't think that we're going to be in some massive recession going forward in Canada, you got to look at the statistics and where everything is going. And if you think we're going to come out of it like we've been bouncing back, everyone thinks we're in a traditional market where we go up, we go down, we go up, we go down. This is going to be a consistent sideways down. That's it. I don't see the economic growth ever. There's someone reported literally, and again, I don't know how serious we're going to take it, but they said regarding the Canadian economy, it's going to take 40 years to get back to the quality and standards of living that we've seen prior to this administration. Is it true? Is it not? I know if you look at Europe, it's the same idea. Quality and standards of living, probably in the 60s was probably at the height of it, 70s, and then obviously we had like a tail off of their standards of living going forward and even into today. But the people even living there don't even realize they're just kind of status quo and they keep pushing forward. And I feel that's what the Canadians are doing now. It's just they're taking it on the chin, which they have an opportunity now to unload what they got, cash it in, put it into something that's generating cash right now. Even if it's a simple investment into like a GIC, like I always advise clients, like the most least risk adverse investment you can have, where you're basically lending the government money and they're paying you an interest on the money you're lending them, so it's guaranteed money back. Or move it into the States and what we're providing for investment properties. I'm going to do that on the other channel so you guys can see that. I'm going to do that actually after this video here. But look at this. So we're at 29,623 units as today, and this is another worry, and I've been ringing a bell about this too, because I don't think people are understanding or listening to anything. This is the most important time to listen to news. You got to think, I came up with coaching where we avoided news like the plague. Why? Because it was just nonsense. You couldn't take anything out of it to kind of push forward in what you were doing, and that's obviously the negative stuff of that. But regarding the economies, you need to look at what's currently happening, especially here in the United States, and what their main goal is going forward. And all the cabinet, if you kind of see the round table and they have the cabinet ministers for every department in the United States, they're long, they're an hour, 2 hours, but you listen to all these folks talk about what they're doing and what they're doing for the America rather. It's basically Everything is pro, nothing's anti, and everything's bringing back. And what does that do? It affects the neighboring countries. And if you've seen right now the tariff that just got accepted by the UK yesterday, which is historic because that's the 80th year of the liberation of World War II and the whole thing. So it's, UK and obviously US is very strong allies this whole time. And look, they struck their first deal with his tariffs on Liberation Day, or on the end of World War II. But look at what the new trade is, and pay attention to this. This is so important. So right now, it's a win-win for both countries, and it's way more of a win for the United States, clearly, because before it was in a negative deficit. Now they're going to be pro $10 billion. They've just opened up a whole new area where the United States can actually ship in, if it's beef, if it's cars, whatever it is. They opened up a whole shitload of departments. Now they can start trading into the UK. So what does that do? Does that affect the UK? No, they came to a conclusion. They want to protect jobs on both sides of the border. What do? You're basically pushing out the other countries that were bringing in these products. So now instead of America number 5, it's on number 1. So America can bring in all these products and bump down everybody else. Let's just say New Zealand and Australian meat. Now America's on top of that. Again, they have to go through processing, but with Robert F. Kennedy as the health minister, he's going to be able to get that meat where it's going to be acceptable for Europe. So that's, again, positive. It's important to listen to these cabinet hearings. So if you kind of go, so that's the first trade deal, and again, it's good for the UK and it's good for America. What does that do? It puts more money in the country, gives more opportunities, farm equipment, whatever it is, they're going to be pushing it out that way. And it's the opposite for Canada. And this is another thing here. Just pay attention to this. I was talking about this so early on, and it's really easy to read. So it says that the Canadian economy added 7,400 jobs last month. Okay. But it's 7% here, 6.9% unemployment rate. Wait till this gets to 12 to 15 to 20%, which is going to get, guys, because if you look at the construction industry, it's flat. Condos, we were watching some, I think it's Butler Mortgage, he mentioned it, which makes sense. There was 80 launches of condos, like condo buildings launches. Remember, like sales centers set up, optimistic, deal paperwork there, 80 of them. 76 of those buildings actually closed down, never sold. And 4, I'm not sure if they even made it. And if they are selling and they're staying open, remember, you got to sell between, I think it's 70 to 80% of the building before you can actually break ground and the financing kicks in. So maybe those buildings never take flight, and now you got 80 buildings that shut down last year. Low-rise construction, we know it's flat. There's some areas doing okay, like that little area in Bolton. There's some sales in there, but again, it's flat as hell because people don't want to take a chance buying new construction today and closing in 1 to 2 years. We're in the great of the last 25 years where you held a new construction, you waited for it to get built in 1 to 2 years, and then you sold your primary residence and you made a couple $100,000, and people used to do that every 1 to 3 years, and they paid off their mortgage, which was brilliant. I should have done that, to be honest. Always go for stability, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. So this is the highest unemployment rate since 2017 of January. Remember what happened in January with a nice correction, right, of March, April of that year. So just we're already there. And then look at the job loss. And these are the high-paying jobs that I've been talking about. Car manufacturing. If you think Alliston's going to keep that Honda plant, oh my gosh, you got to really read what's happening. But so Canada manufacturing industry led job losses in April, shedding 31,000 jobs, and the bulk of that impact is in Ontario. Think about that. 31,000 people are unemployed in Ontario, and that's manufacturing. These are people making great incomes. Okay, the hit comes after obviously United States imposed tariffs. It started in March. So sector levies on steel and aluminum automobiles. So regardless, this is not coming back to Canada ever. Everything's going to stay in the U.S. now. This is the whole plan to rebuild America. So Canada won't get these anymore. Manufacturing's gone. Manufacturing heavy, Windsor, Ontario saw its unemployment rate jump 1.4%. All right, that's that. And then look at this: wholesale and retail trade sector down 27,000 jobs. It's nuts. So they said they gained 7,400 jobs, but look where these jobs are. look where they've gained these jobs. So offsetting the declines last month was a gain of 37,000 jobs in public administration. I don't know what that means. Is that government employment? I don't know what public administration means, but it ain't. The guy that's doing heavy lifting in manufacturing is not reconverted into public administration. The guy that's in any of these high-paying blue-collar jobs that were lost ain't here. So I don't know what public administration is, but I mean that could be obviously tied to government jobs to kind of have these numbers held up. Because imagine having like in the last couple of months where there was 0 jobs gained. So maybe now the government's doing a crazy hire like this just to offset everything to make it look better than what it is. But that's pretty much it, and this is why this is a long one. Clearly it was supposed to be like 2 minutes, but I get carried away. Just think about this. You got even primary residence. If you have an opportunity to sell your primary residence and go, again, stability, as I mentioned, you want that for life and kids and stuff like that. But if you have a substantially high mortgage, and you say it's like a 20 to 30% gap from like what you have into the property, like the actual principal into the property, you got to get on the market and get it gone, to be honest, because ultimately if this market does correct 20 to 25%, which I think it will, I think between, let's say, 6 to 18 months you're going to see this thing just really go into like a nosedive, and then ultimately there's going to be no more value left. So just be cautious with that. And then if you're closing new properties, like the clients I spoke to yesterday, try to unload them. If somebody else is going to try to has a necessity or a need for these properties, and try to unload them. Even if you take a little bit of a loss, it's better than a big loss in trying to close a property in 1 to 2 years, where if you bought these at the height of 22, let's say for $1 million, we're down about 30 points. You got to close them at like 7,500, like 750,000. Let's just call it like easy numbers. And today's, I don't know what tomorrow holds. That means you got to put an additional $250,000 down plus the 20%. So if it's you're getting like a B loan, it might be 30 points on the 750, plus you got to compensate for the 250 you lost. So let's just say you got to put 30% on, let's say 800 for easy numbers. What's that? 240,000, and then you lost, let's say 200,000. You got to put $440,000 down in order for the bank to finance this project. So just keep that in mind. I don't think I think everyone got spoiled the last 20 years, where everyone looked like a financial genius in real estate investing, and now reality, we're starting to see the holes in people's systems and people's mindsets and how they're progressing here with the economies. But hopefully you take this advice, and clearly we'll be on the back end. If you need some strategy calls, you can call us. We can have a quick call with you guys, see if we can help you out at anything we can. But have a great weekend.